Okay. I'll open up the meeting then. I know Teresa wanted to say a couple things. But this is the special meeting of the Ellsworth Planning Board for October 21st. Let me just go through a roll call. When I read your name, just say here. Rick Lyles.
Here.
Nelson Gill.
Here.
Mark Rich.
Here.
Molly Friedland.
Here.
Okay. Teresa, did you want to say a couple things first?
Sure. Hi, Andrew. Andrew, you're on mute. Yeah, we only have one item on our agenda.
Okay.
Before we do that item, I wanted to give you guys a heads up. In the November 7th meeting, there are 3 applications that have come forward. And one of them is Ellsworth Solar Project. It's 334,000 square feet of solar panels. It's off the Bucksport Road. They had to, because it's such a huge project, they have to go through NERPA, Natural Resource Protection Act permit. And they also have to go through Site Location Development Act permit, Army Corps of Engineer permits. So we have so you will receive a package from them that tells all about the project as applying to the city of Ellsworth. But if you want to come in, and I highly suggest you all try to do this, is come in the planning office and read the 3-ring binders that are the state permits, because it gives you a lot more appreciation and knowledge of the project. And they don't have to put all that stuff in the Ellsworth file. And it helped me understand the project a lot reading it. But I can't send you each one, they're all so big. So. And take it away, John.
Okay. Before we turn it over to Andrew, I'd just like to thank Teresa for providing us with the preliminary plan checklist. I know everybody appreciates that, and I know it takes a lot of work, and thank you very much, Teresa.
Yep.
So what we're here today is a preliminary plan review for major use site development entitled Superior Docks for Superior Realty Incorporated. The proposal is to create a 4,000 square foot solar energy farm on 78-acre property located at 420 Christian Ridge Road, tax map 50, lot 2. All of the subject property is located in the urban zone. Andrew McCulloch, you're representing the developer?
Yes, that's correct.
Was everybody getting that feedback, or was that just me?
Wow.
Okay, try it again, Andrew. Okay.
You are correct. I'm representing the applicant.
Okay, you've got the floor, so to speak.
Okay. The plan is to construct this these solar panels to provide electricity specifically for Superior Docks. It is approximately 4,000 square feet of panels. It will be supported by 12 6-inch diameter steel posts that will be then go down into the ground. And then there will be a steel framework that these panels will be mounted on. The lowest part of the panel will be at least 4 feet above grade and maybe 5 and 6 feet above grade. And then the high part of the panel will be 10 to 12 feet above grade. The plan is to construct these between the Versant right-of-way across the property and Gilpatrick Brook on upland area. And of course, these panels will then be directed to face south toward the sun. And so it's a fairly straightforward project, very little soil disturbance, very little site disturbance, and it's the site has been selected both for its exposure, as well as meeting a minimum of a 75-foot setback from the stream channel and at least a 25-foot setback from the wetlands on the property adjacent to the stream. So there are no other improvements proposed besides installing these panels. We have included some erosion controls, proposed erosion controls as far as silt fence around the disturbed area. And then any disturbed soils will be reseeded, revegetated. And the plan is to continue to maintain vegetation, grassy vegetation underneath the panels.
Any questions from the board members for Andrew?
Sure, I got a few. First of all, with the checklist that you sent out today, and I do appreciate that. At the top of it, it says Solar East on the top of the checklist itself.
Yeah, that's the wrong title, but it is the right checklist.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, that's good. Okay. Going down in terms of down that checklist, and also just looking at the drawing, the checklist said there were no easements, but there is a power easement that goes all the way through the power right away that goes all the way through the site. And I would just wanted to get assurance in terms of whether or not there's any issues with interaction between that right away and the proposed solar site. That's really a question for Andrew.
The Versant has a 100-foot wide right of way. And so we have specifically laid out that site to avoid that 100-foot right of way.
And so as long as you do that, there's no problem with Versant or anything. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Have they been contacted or anything, or you just?
I mean, forgive me for maybe not knowing all the right verbiage, but yes, this plan has been actually submitted to them.
Okay. And they're good.
Yes.
Okay, so I have another question about the decommissioning.
Yes.
On the check sheet, it says it's not required. On the TRT, it says it is required. And it is as I read the ordinance, the new paragraphs in the ordinance, this is a medium size installation, notwithstanding it only services the one company. But I guess my question is, I think this still requires a decommissioning report, and that's for Andrew and for whoever else wants to answer that.
I'll let you answer that, Andrew.
Okay. I did discuss this with Teresa and Dwight, and the way I believe the ordinance is written, that the standalone projects require the decommissioning plan. But this is not a standalone project that is selling power off to the grid. And so the way I understand the ordinance, it's not required. In talking with Penobscot Solar, these panels are designed for, a minimum lifespan of 25 years. And right now at this point, the only people that take these panels back for at the end of their useful life are the Strong's out on the Washington Junction Road. But no, I don't believe technically that per the ordinance that a decommissioning plan is required.
And Teresa, you concur with that?
I do concur with that. And I wrote that into, just so you know, I put that into the TRT report. I'm becoming more and more familiar with this ordinance. And that's why I put it there at the beginning. Then sitting down and talk. And then when Andrew called, Dwight and I were like, oh, you're right. It's a smaller project, so they don't need it.
Well, it's not the
Yeah, hey,
size
Rick.
so much as the ownership, right?
I know, but they don't need one. Yeah.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I had conversation with Mike Hangy on this because I thought they would needed a decommissioning plan too. And between the new solar part of the ordinance and then going to definitions, the decommissioning plan only applies to standalone, which is what we had on Solar East. And basically what it says is standalone of any size that primarily serves an off-site user such as an electric power grid or another use on an adjacent panel is standalone. And this is not a standalone, so it doesn't need a decommissioning plan. I think this is a small one in terms of the number of panels. I could foresee a possible issue if a company wanted to build a huge one on their property, let's say to power Walmart. But that is not in the ordinance right now. Maybe it's something we need to take a look at and just tighten up the ordinance. I figured at some point we're going to have to revise this where it was so brand new. As we go forward, we're going to find, I think, little problems like this, little issues that maybe we can just, tend to later. But at this point, this does not need a decommissioning plan.
Okay, I'm okay with that. The other question I just had, and I don't think there's anything there, but somewhere in there was something about getting a check off from Mike and his cronies in the fire department or whatever. And I don't use cronies in any derogatory sense, by the way. In any event, you're good with this from your perspective? I didn't see anything would be a problem, but I would ask you.
No, we're good.
Okay. You and your cronies?
Me and my cronies.
Okay.
Now, everybody should realize that we're leading up to probably just a couple more meetings that Mike Hangy will be attending. He won't be with us much long. He won't be with us much longer. I know he's sad about that, but I kid Mike a lot, but I certainly do appreciate his input and his knowledge. The city will be hard pressed to replace Mike.
I totally agree. One of the most responsive city guys going, I think, and I hope one of your cronies takes over and is just half as good.
Well, we're working on it.
Okay.
I fully expect him to keep coming to board meetings just for the pure joy of it.
That could be.
Absolute fun factor.
Maybe I'll join you someday.
Hey,
I was going to say that there'll probably be an opening soon. I guess I have one question for Teresa. On the spreadsheet you have on the critical natural areas, the waiting letter from the State Natural Area Program, perhaps you could address that a little bit.
Sure. So so we have maps in the planning office that are from the critical areas program. And in the proximity of this project, especially because it's on the brook and there's floodplain here and it's on the brook, but in this area of town, there is Nantucket shadbush, Amelia nantucketanus, something like that. It's a threatened species. There are only this plant is only found in 7 municipalities in Maine, and globally it's rare and threatened. So because it had such a high status, it's a shrub that grows in wetlands. So I said to Andrew, we really need the natural areas letter from these guys because there's this threatened species that could be living in this wetlands. And Andrew has confirmed with his map and through talking with him that the panels are not in the floodplain, they're not on the brook, but they're so close to where this plant could grow. That's why I really want him to show us that.
And do
And
we run the risk of, this is scheduled for a final at our regular meeting, correct?
On November 7.
Andrew, do you think you will have that letter from Inland Fish and Wildlife or whoever it was that produces it in time for that meeting?
that is definitely my goal. Had a conversation with the lady at Natural Areas today, and she honestly, she said she was swamped, and so she apologized for not actually having a response by now. But my goal is to definitely have a letter prior to the meeting. Yes, and be able to submit that to you.
And I actually know Molly Doherty personally from the Critical Areas Program, and I also called her and said, could you please, I know you've got a lot going on, but you go site visit this for us. That would really help. And I also, in the code, it says the administrator, which is me, can waive Maine Historical Preservation Commission notice. So I did, because there's nothing out there on any of our maps. So you should know that. And you also have a letter that was put in your package after, at the end of your, I think it was put in, it's not in the binder part, it was just stuck in there, the evidence of fiscal capacity. So Andrew did send that, so that's why that's checked off. Permit by rules coming, or is it already here? I can't remember.
Well, the permit by rule was submitted last Friday, at which will go out for final in your
Right.
final packet. The DEP has issued that. They issued it late last Thursday night.
Yeah.
And that's just for adjacency too. It's not for any impact. It's just for adjacency too.
Is there anybody else that has any questions for?
I got
Andrew?
just another quick one or two. Do we under the sediment and erosion control statement that you put in, which is all fine, do we really have emergency spillways here? And if so, where might they be?
No, we do not have any new emergency spillways going in.
Okay, so is this referring to?
That is, and I apologize, I can look at it. But that technically doesn't apply to this project.
Oh, that's fine. I was
Yeah.
just wondering why the sentence was in there. And
Yeah.
finally, we don't have any increase in overland flow from this. Is that correct?
No, that's correct. The area is pretty well, it's sloping, but it's pretty uniformly sloping.
Mm-hmm.
And technically our only impact are those 6-inch diameter posts, and as far as impervious areas. And so that's I think when I calculated it, it was less than 6 square feet. And so, no, there is no way to quantify that there's any increase in peak flow.
Okay, I'm good.
Good evening, Andrew. It's Nelson Keel.
Hi.
Hey, so the panels do generally face Christian Ridge Road. I'm just curious with these solar installations. I mean, I know I've seen them around, but is there ever consideration for glare when they're pointing towards a road? I understand to work, they want to try to absorb as much light as possible, but they do have glass on them. So is glare ever a thing that gets looked at or needs to be accounted for when they can be seen from a road?
Frankly, and this is based on just my observations. I have seen larger projects closer to the road that do not appear to create any glare. The one project that I believe Chimbro did out on the other side of Newport, those panels are much closer to the road than this is, and I haven't observed any glare there. That's my best response.
And I don't think we have anything like that in our rules anyway. I'm
No.
mostly just curious, and
Right.
and I also understand it's going to be very situational. In this case, for example, the panels face away from 1A, so wouldn't have any problem there. But maybe just something for us to keep an eye on as we go ahead with more of these projects.
Yep.
We do talk about, in the 823 in the performance standards, we talk about, unless the panels block a scenic view, they talk about height. And this doesn't, but that's something to consider when we look at other projects in the future.
Right. I understand you can't choose what direction they face. They're going to face south, but yeah, just something to keep an eye on as more of these things start popping up.
And Nelson, I think you'll find that and you're right, each individual project is going to be different. Noticing the difference between the east and the west projects on the Maryville Road and the one on the Bucksport Road, the degree of angle changed between those two or those three projects. So I think you're going to find that it's going to be different between each one.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Any other questions? In that case, would somebody care to make a motion?
Do we need to have a public hearing first?
Thank you, Dwight.
Yep, you're right, Dwight. I will open this to a public meeting, just in case there's anybody out there that would like to make comments. I guess we'll have to, is Nate reviewing phone calls, is that Carrie, or who's taking care of that part?
I see nobody currently in the chat, so we're good so far.
Yep, and I don't have any emails from the public on this project.
Now, why don't we give them a couple more seconds? Andrew, you want to make a final pitch? We need somebody to take up some time. Say something.
Well, I think this is a relatively low impact project, frankly. And I think it fits into the site well. I think, any issues with glare are going to be not only a function of angle, but setback from the road, and as well as this site is probably at an elevation that is not at the elevation of the road, and so all those factors are going to come into play when it comes to any potential for glare or any issue like that.
So is the goal of this project, Andrew, to replace all his electricity?
The goal, the ultimate goal is to replace all electricity, but the facility is not going to be disconnected from the power supply or anything like that. And so he's going to be able to still run using Versant power if the panels are down or if they're not producing enough electricity to power the whole facility.
Okay, so so he doesn't have a bunch of batteries that he's storing the power and then using it?
No.
Okay. I think we've given the public enough time. Have anybody written in or emailed in, Carrie?
No, we look good on my side.
No. Yep, I'm all set as well.
Okay. So, would someone like to make a motion?
And we're accepting for completeness in this, right? That's fundamentally the binding.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not an approval.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Area approval.
Nelson, it's up to you.
All right. I move that we find the preliminary plan review for a major use site development titled Superior Docks for Superior Realty Incorporated. Proposal to create a 4,000 square foot solar energy farm on 78 acres. Property located at 420 Christian Ridge Road, tax map 50 lot 2. All the subject property is located in the urban zone. That the preliminary plan is complete in all respects, given the questions and the conversation we had this evening.
Second.
Okay, I'll go through a roll call, seeing as I don't think I can see Mark. So say yes or no. Rick?
Yes, good.
Nelson?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So you have your preliminary approval, Andrew.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, and I think we made it in time to hit our 6:15 deadline.
John, could I say a couple quick things since I'll have you all here?
Oh, geez, I don't know, Terry.
If you need
No, go
to,
ahead.
Teresa.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Teresa.
All right, thank you. So one is our next meeting, we're going to have there's an application to put a subdivision line on a map, and I think it'll be quick, but you never know. But it seems like that will be pretty quick. It's on Denver Way. And then the second application is this one you just looked at to say that it's final, if you say it's final. And the third one is this big solar project. Do you think with all of that we want to also add a workshop before the meeting? Do we want to have a meeting that starts at 5:30, workshop till 6:30, and then our meeting at 6:30? Or should we skip that workshop in November?
I would skip the workshop. On the other solar project is quite large. I think, we'll probably be spending quite a bit of time on that. It's very possible we will. So workshops are good, but I suggest we do it some other day.
Okay. And
Teresa, when are you saying that large solar project is supposed to come in?
So we did.
But when will we see it? I'm sorry.
November 7th. Your packages, I'm pretty sure Carrie and I finished all the TRT stuff today. Carrie, I'll only say something if you need to, but I think you guys are ready to get your packages. Is that true, Carrie? I'll still be there. Yeah, so everything is done. All the reviews, you guys can come pick up that stuff and start looking at it.
Sorry, Teresa, I was having a little trouble unmuting myself there. So the applicants actually have until next Tuesday, the 27th, to resubmit any materials based off of the TRT meetings that we had this week. So they will be ready next week. We don't foresee too many new things or revised things coming in, but we are awaiting a couple of materials from the large solar project, but we will have them as ready as as soon as possible.
I think if you want to,
The other.
okay. Sorry, John.
Okay. I was just gonna tell Nelson, the new project coming in off the Bucksport Road is about 50% larger than what we approved on Route 180. So, and I mean, it's close to Branch Lake. You know, there could be quite a bit of citizen interest in that project.
Yeah, my thought, that was similar to my thoughts on that one. I don't know that we need to have a whole group workshop if we don't want to do that, but Teresa, I would likely be interested in stopping by and reviewing the new solar ordinances as well as the additional material that you had alluded to earlier before the 7th.
Yes, and I'm willing to sit down with anybody and go through the solar ordinance and go through the package that came from the state, the 2 big binders. John is correct. Most of this, so the project, the panels themselves, the 330,000 plus square feet of panels, it is all located in our drinking watershed. And when we had our TRT staff meeting, John Whedon, who's is he called our watershed steward? He came to he doesn't always come, he came to that meeting and gave the applicant thoughts about the forested wetland and the meadow wetland and drainage and runoff. And one of the wetlands runs off, there's a wetland that is crossing the property where they're going to cross the wetlands to have a road go in. And that wetland drains off into the watershed of Patton Pond, not the watershed of Branch Lake, but it's still a concern. So yes, please come in. And you know, even though everything is not ready, if you want to just pick up the blue folder of the solar project and start reading it, it's a bit dense and thick. I don't think you'll be able to do it like in a day or whatever, you know what I mean? Even though all the other materials aren't ready, if you wanted to come pick it up in the next couple of days, City Hall is open. You can't just come and wander in. You come in and you have to say what you're doing and they tell you if you can go upstairs or not, but yeah.
And Teresa, it might be prudent to have John Whedon attend the preliminary
On November
meeting of the plan.
Yes, I've asked him to, and also Chad Dobler, who is the president of Branch Lake Branch Lake Association. He said this is going in they have a newsletter, and so they're all going to know about the November 7th meeting, so that may produce people making public comment.
Now, is the November 7th meeting going to be a totally Zoom meeting
I think
or
so.
a combination?
Yep. So City Hall, you know, I took a poll of the planning board members and who can come in and who can't. And there also was one person got coronavirus at the school. They closed the schools down. We're being cautious. You know, it's and just so you know, it's really hard to do this over Zoom. It's very hard for me. I interrupt people. I can't tell when people are talking. I can't do eye contact. I can't really communicate with you guys on Zoom. It's really hard. On the other hand, some of us, it's too hard to meet in person. I think.
I'm sorry, can I ask what might be
I hope.
a stupid question? We keep saying November 7th. Is that a Saturday? I'm sorry.
I hope not. Am I giving you the wrong date, you guys?
Yeah, it's November 4th.
November 4th, yes,
Okay.
it's November 4th. Sorry about that.
All right.
That's what will show on your agenda.
Okay, I think we're getting close to the 6:15 witching hour, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.